The twin suns were setting over the red sands of Valaranine, casting long shadows across the colony outpost. Dust blew through the quiet streets. Most people had already gone inside to hide from the cold desert night, but Eli, a human scavenger, and ex-soldier, was still out. His boots crunched the dry ground as he carried parts and wires back to his cabin. His life was quiet, alone. He liked it that way. Then he heard something strange. Thought it was a weak sound, like a whisper carried by the wind. He stopped. It came again, a soft voice. A woman's voice. Please, please help. Eli turned his head. Near the edge of the trade post, by the old supply crates, he saw a shape. A figure, kneeling in the dust. As he walked closer, the figure came into view. It was an alien woman, skin pale violet, long dark hair full of sand. She looked thin. Too thin. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She held a small bundle in each arm. 2 children. Both were very young, no older than 4 or 5. Their eyes were big and scared. They clung to their mother like they were trying to disappear inside her arms. Eli knelt beside her. Are you hurt? The woman looked up at him with dry, cracked lips. Her eyes were full of pain and fear. No, I am not hurt. But we are starving. Her voice shook. They threw us out, my people. They said I was a burden. She reached forward, trembling. Please, human. Take me. I will be your wife. Just feed my children. Don't let them die. Eli blinked, stunned. A few colony workers nearby stopped and stared. One of them, a rough alien trader named Varn, laughed loudly. She's been here since morning, Varn shouted. Begged every man that passed. No one wants her. No value, no pride. Eli looked around. The others turned away. No one cared. They had seen too much suffering to feel anything now. The woman lowered her head. Her long hair covered her face. I understand, she whispered. You do not want a beggar. Eli didn't move for a few seconds. Then he took off his coat and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. I didn't say that, he said. Can you walk? She nodded slowly. Then come with me. The children looked at him, afraid. But when they saw their mother stand, they followed her like shadows. Eli's cabin was small but warm. It was built from old metal sheets and solar panels. He gave them water first. The children drank fast, spilling it down their chins. Then he handed them food, dried fruits and protein bars. The woman took only one bite and saved the rest for her kids. What's your name? Eli asked. Rala, she said softly. My name is Rala. Where's their father? He asked. She looked down, dead, in the war. He was a soldier. Eli understood that pain too well. Later that evening, Rila and the children sat near the heater. The youngest boy had fallen asleep with his head on Eli's old pillow. The girl stared at the warm flame, eyes wide. Rala sat with her arms around them. She was silent. Eli looked at her hands, bruised, cut, rough from work. Not the hands of someone lazy. He gave her a blanket. You and the kids can sleep here tonight. She hesitated. You are kind, but they will come tomorrow. Who? The local enforcers. The ones who collect the unclaimed. If I'm not taken by a male, they'll sell me, or worse. Eli frowned. This colony has laws against that. Not for us, she said. Not for widows. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat near the window, watching the moon's rise. The desert was quiet, but his mind wasn't. He didn't plan this. He didn't want a family. His life was simple, clean. But that image, her, kneeling in the dust, holding her children, was burned into his mind. The next morning, Rala was already awake, folding the blanket. Her kids still sleeping. She stood before him and bowed her head. If you do not want us, we will leave. I won't beg again. Eli stood up and looked at her. I didn't bring you here just to throw you back out. She looked up, surprised. I'm not sure what this is, he said. But no one deserves to be treated like dirt. You stay. As long as you want. Tears filled her eyes. In the distance, a small patrol vehicle approached, dust rising behind it. Rala's hands shook. Eli stepped in front of her and nodded. Let them come. The moment the patrol vehicle stopped outside Ila's cabin, a heavy silence filled the air. Dust settled slowly as the two enforcers stepped out, tall, armored, and cold. Rala froze. Her children clung to her legs, hiding their faces. Eli opened the door and stood tall in front of them. One of the enforcers, a sharp-eyed alien with a metal jaw, spoke without emotion. You have taken in an unclaimed widow. That is against Colony Settlement Code, Section 9, Rule 12. Eli didn't flinch. She's with me now. The enforcer narrowed his eyes. Claimed by ritual or contract? Eli paused, then answered clearly, she's my wife. Inside the cabin, Ryla gasped. The enforcer stared for a moment, then tapped his datapad. Not recorded. Will return in 2 days. If she is still unclaimed by then, she will be removed. You may keep the children, or not. Then they left, no words, no mercy. That night, the wind howled outside. But inside, the cabin was too quiet. Riley sat near the fire, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. Eli placed a small cup of hot water next to her. You okay? She didn't answer. Only stared into the flames. You didn't have to say that, she finally whispered, that I was your wife. I said what I had to, Eli replied. They weren't going to listen to begging. She looked at him then, slowly. Do you know what wife means to my people? Eli shook his head. It is not just words. It is a soul tie, a vow. If you break it, I will lose what little respect I have left, even from my children. Eli lowered his eyes. He hadn't thought about that. He only wanted to protect her, not trap himself or her in something fake. But the children, they were watching him now. Like he was more than just a man. Like he was something safe. The next morning, word had already spread. In the dusty lanes of the colony, aliens whispered and pointed as Eli passed by. Did you hear? The human took the widow. He married her. Can you believe it? Maybe he's desperate, or just mad. At the trading post, Varn the trader laughed. You collecting broken things now, Eli? First machines, now widows? Eli didn't respond. He gathered food, clothes, and medicine and left. Back at the cabin, Ryla was trying to teach the children to clean. But her hands were shaking, and she barely stood straight. You haven't eaten today, Eli said, handing her food. I will eat later, she said. Double quotes, no, now, she blinked. Then sat slowly and took a small bite. It was the first time Eli saw her eat without shame. That night, Ryla spoke again. Her voice was low. Why did you really help me? Eli sat across from her. Because I know what it's like to lose everything. She looked at him confused. I fought in the Rim Wars, watched my unit get wiped out, came back to nothing. No family, no home, only this desert. She nodded slowly. Then maybe we are the same. Later, Eli repaired a broken heater part. The children played quietly, their laughter soft but real. The little girl gave Eli a stone she found shiny and smooth. A gift, she said. Because you're kind, Eli smiled. It had been years since anyone gave him anything. That night, just after midnight, Eli woke to a strange sound. Hissing. He rushed outside and saw it. Someone had painted red words on the side of his cabin, alien lover, beside it. A small fire burned in the sand. Rala came running out, holding her kids. Eli crushed the fire with sand. Then looked around, but whoever did it was already gone. Rala's hands were shaking again. They want us gone. They'll have to do more than paint words to scare me, Eli said. But in his heart, he knew the real danger was only beginning. Eli woke up to the sound of quiet crying. Not from the children, from Rala. The sun had just started to rise, casting a soft blue light through the small window. Eli stayed still for a moment, listening. The sound wasn't loud. It was hidden, like someone trying not to be heard. But pain has a way of escaping, even when you try to bury it. He got up slowly and walked toward the back room. Rala sat on the floor, her arms around her knees. Her face was turned toward the wall. Her shoulders shook with each silent sob. She didn't notice him. Eli cleared his throat gently. "Bad dream?" She quickly wiped her face and stood. "No, I was just remembering." Eli didn't push. He just nodded. "Coffee's warm if you want." She followed him out. But her eyes, red and tired, spoke of memories far darker than a dream. Later that day, as the children napped, Rala finally spoke. Her voice was low, heavy. "You asked before. What happened to me? I'll tell you now. Because you deserve to know." Eli set down his tools and sat across from her. The wind outside had grown quiet, as if the desert itself was listening. Rala looked down at her hands. They were thin and calloused. "My husband was a warrior," she began. "Strong, proud. His name was Tharoon. He died in the Fourth Moon War. I waited for him, but he never came back. Only a piece of his armor did." She took a breath, as if that memory alone hurt her chest. "When the news came, his family blamed me. Said I was a curse, that I brought him bad luck. They took our home, our food, and cast me out with the children." Eli's eyes narrowed. "They punished you for something you didn't do?" "Yes," Rala whispered. "And that wasn't the end." She slowly pulled down the back of her shirt. Eli's heart stopped. Her back was covered in long, faded scars, some healed, others not. "This," she said, not looking at him, "was the price for being born female and weak in a warrior clan." Eli stood up and looked away, fists clenched. I didn't know," he muttered. "No one wants to know," she said quietly. "They just turn their heads." That evening, Rala cooked for the first time. The smell of spices and dried roots filled the cabin. Eli tasted the food and nodded. "Better than my protein packs." She smiled for the first time since arriving. The children giggled and played. The boy held Eli's old soldier badge and called himself captain. But peace never lasted long. Just after sunset, a message arrived. Someone had slipped a paper under the door. One word was written on it: "Sell." Eli read it twice, then burned it in the heater. Rala said nothing, but her body tensed like a hunted animal. Eli placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "No one's selling anyone." She looked up at him, eyes wide. "You keep saying that. Why?" Eli paused, then said slowly, "Because I know what it feels like to be thrown away." That night, Rala sat beside Eli near the heater. She didn't cry this time. She just spoke. "I'm not asking you to love me," she said. "But if I stay here, truly stay, I need to be something more than your guest." Eli looked into her eyes. "What do you mean?" "I mean I can cook, clean, fix clothes. I will raise the children and work the land. Just let me belong somewhere, even if only in name." Eli didn't answer right away. Instead, he took a deep breath and stood. Then he walked to his drawer, pulled out a small, thin copper ring, something he had found long ago in a broken ship. He returned and held it out. "Then let's start with this," he said. "It's not much, but it's yours." Rayla stared at it. Her hand trembled as she took it. She whispered, "No one's ever given me anything, not without a price." "No price here," Eli said. But he didn't tell her that something in his chest had changed the moment she touched that ring. Asterisk lightning struck the edge of the desert like a whip from the gods. The sky had turned dark, heavy with black clouds. Wind howled like angry spirits. And across the horizon, a giant sandstorm rolled forward, fast, thick, and angry. Eli slammed the door of the cabin shut, locking it tight. Inside, The lights flickered. The solar panels outside were already buried. Storms. Bigger than anything we've seen this season, Eli said, checking his power board. We're not going anywhere for the next 2 days. Rala stood by the window, holding her children close. Her eyes weren't afraid of the storm outside. She was afraid of what storms came after the sand passed by nightfall. They had no signal. No contact with the outside colony. Just 4 people inside a metal cabin, surrounded by endless roaring sand. Eli threw another power cell into the heater. The cabin grew warmer. He turned around and saw Rila placing her daughter on the bed, wrapping her in a soft cloth. She's asleep, Rila whispered. She doesn't understand what's happening, but she senses fear. Eli nodded. Kids feel more than we think. Then there was silence. Not from the storm, from the truth hanging in the air. Between them, they sat across from each other in the glow of the heater. The soft buzz of power hummed through the room. Finally, Rila broke the silence. Do you regret it? Regret what? Eli asked, taking us in, pretending to marry me. Standing against your own people. Eli didn't answer immediately. He looked at his hands, rough, dirty, scarred from work and war. No, he said simply. Rala's eyes searched his face. Then why do you keep your heart locked up like a weapon? Eli blinked. What? You protect us, feed us, defend. US, she said slowly. But you won't let yourself care too much. Why? He leaned back, exhaling. I've lost too many people, he finally said. Family, friends, brothers in war. Every time I care, I lose. So now I just fix things. I survive. Rala nodded. Slowly. I know that feeling, she said. I stopped crying when I lost my first child, miscarried during the war. My husband was off fighting, and I was alone. I bled for days, and no one came. That's when I learned to be silent. The storm howled louder. Eli felt something shift in the air between them. Not just sadness, understanding. Hours passed. The storm refused to stop. The cabin creaked as wind slammed against it like waves on a broken ship. The power flickered again. Suddenly, the heater went dark. The light vanished. The cold crept in like a silent enemy. Eli grabbed a glow lamp and turned it on. A soft blue light filled the room. He turned and saw Rila holding both children close, their small bodies shaking. He walked over, pulled 2 blankets from his storage chest, and knelt down beside them. You'll freeze like this, he said. We need to stay warm. Without a word, Rila looked up and scooted slightly, leaving just enough space between her and the wall. Lie down, she whispered. We'll share the heat. Eli hesitated, then nodded. The floor was cold, but their bodies, close together, under the blankets, slowly pushed the cold away. Her back pressed lightly against his chest. The children lay beside her like tiny suns, their warmth spreading through the space. Minutes passed in silence. Then Rala whispered, What happens after the storm? Eli didn't answer right away. Then he said, I don't know. But I do know this. I won't let anyone take you. She turned her head slightly toward him. But, would you choose me? He didn't move. But his voice came out steady. I already did. I just didn't say it out loud. Rala's breath caught in her throat. She whispered, Then say it now. Eli placed a hand gently on hers. I choose you, Rala. You and the children. No matter what happens when that storm ends. Outside, the wind screamed. But inside, for the first time, there was peace. The storm ended the way heartbreak does. Quietly. No loud crash. No final warning, just silence. When Rala stepped outside that morning, the desert looked like a different world. The wind had smoothed everything, erased tracks, swallowed old paths. The sun rose gently, as if it didn't know what had happened while the skies raged. But the danger hadn't disappeared. It was waiting, watching. And it came knocking. That same afternoon, a heavy fist pounded the door. Eli opened it, rifle in hand. 3 enforcers stood outside. Not just local ones this time, these were from the Central Authority. Dressed in black armor with the red eye symbol on their shoulders, the lead enforcer stepped forward. He had pale blue skin and a voice that echoed like ice. You are harboring an unregistered alien widow. Her name is Ryla, daughter of Clan Thalzer. She has no official protector and must be returned to her people. Eli didn't blink. She's under my protection now. She's my wife. The enforcer's gaze didn't waver. No legal record exists of such a bond. I'll make one, Eli said. You don't have the authority. Try me. The enforcers stepped inside without permission. Rala stood frozen near the heater, her children hiding behind her legs. One enforcer scanned her with a red light. No collar, no mark, she is unclaimed. Rala lowered her eyes. She whispered, What? What? Does it mean to be marked? Eli looked at her, then looked at the enforcers. Without a word, he walked over to a drawer, pulled out his old military med stamp, and loaded it with a silver-coated chip. He turned to Rala. This isn't for show. This is real, he said. Then, in front of everyone. Eli took her hand, pressed the device gently to her wrist, and activated it. The mark lit up blue for a second, then faded into her skin. By Earth Union law, Eli said firmly, she's now mine. Rala's eyes widened. She held her wrist, shocked. One of the enforcers hesitated. But she's alien. Eli stepped forward. And I'm human, a war veteran with 4 confirmed medals. You want to argue this? Call command. The enforcers stared at him for a long moment. Then the lead one turned. We'll report this. If you're lying, the punishment is death. Then I'll see you in hell, Eli said, slamming the door shut behind them. Later that evening, Rala sat on the floor, staring at her wrist. The mark was simple, small, but it burned in her heart like a fire she didn't understand. Didn't have to do that, she said. I know, Eli replied. She looked at him. Then why? He sat across from her, resting his arms on his knees. Because I'd rather die with you than live watching them take you. Her eyes filled with tears. She crawled toward him slowly and placed her hand over his. I'm not your burden, she whispered, but I can be your strength. That night, Rayla didn't sleep on the floor. She slept beside Eli under the same blanket, her hand never letting go of his. And outside, in the quiet desert, the wind carried whispers that the human had marked her, that he had chosen her, and soon others would come. Not to take her, but to test if he could keep her. Asterisk, the child's scream shattered the quiet. Morning. Eli dropped his tools and rushed outside, heart racing. He found the boy Rala's son pointing toward the edge of the dunes, his small hand shaking. Eli turned. His eyes narrowed. A dark banner fluttered in the wind. High above, 6 figures riding across the sand. Warriors, cloaked, armed, moving like shadows. At the front road, someone taller, broader, and wearing the symbol of Clan Thalzarala's tribe. They had returned, but not for peace. Rala stood frozen in the doorway. Her daughter clutched her side. She whispered one word. My brother. Eiley looked at her sharply. That's your family? She nodded slowly, voice full of fear. Taran, my older brother. He was my protector once, before he cursed me. The riders stopped 20 steps from the cabin. Taran dismounted, tall and proud. His skin was darker than Rala's, and his eyes were cold as stone. He looked at her, then at Eli. You marked my sister? Taran said, his voice like metal scraping. Eli stepped forward. I did. Taran smiled, mocking. That was foolish. You think a stamp makes her yours? She is Thalzer blood, and she belongs with us. She doesn't belong to anyone, Eli said firmly. She's free. Theron's smile vanished. No one leaves our clan. Not even a widow. She has debts, and those children? They carry our warrior blood. We've come to collect them. Eli raised his weapon, not without stepping over me. Theron's warriors drew their blades, but then Rala stepped between them. She raised her arms, her voice louder than Eli had ever heard. I will not go with you, Taran. You beat me. Starved. Me, let your warriors mock me. I begged you to protect my children, and you threw us out like trash. You broke our law, Taran said coldly. I broke nothing. My only crime was surviving when I wasn't supposed to. The wind picked up. Sand blew between them. Rila stood tall, proud. I have found a home, she said. I have found a man who sees me, not as property, but as a person, a mother, a woman. Theron's jaw clenched. Then die with him. Everything moved fast. A blade flew through the air. Eli grabbed Rala and pulled her back. The battle started. Eli fought like a soldier born in war, his rifle roaring, his fists striking hard. But Theron's warriors were trained. Two surrounded Eli while Taran himself stormed toward Rala. The children screamed inside the cabin. Rala backed away, heart pounding. But she didn't run. She picked up Eli's old wrench and raised it high. I am not weak anymore, she shouted. Taren reached her, ready to strike when Eli tackled him from behind, both men falling into the sand. Minutes later, the fight was over. Two of Theron's warriors lay injured. Taran himself bled from the mouth, staring up at Eli's weapon. Kill me, he growled. Eli shook his head. No, that's not what we do here. He turned to Rila. It's your choice. She looked at her brother. Then said, loud and clear, you banished me, but I forgive you. And I don't belong to you anymore. She turned to Eli. Take me home. That night, the children slept peacefully. Rila stood on the porch, looking out at the stars. Eli joined her. You could have let me finish him, he said quietly. No, she replied. He's already lost everything. They stood side by side, silent. Then Rala said, you didn't just fight for me today, Eli. You fought beside me. Eli nodded. Because I don't see you as a broken widow anymore. She smiled, tears in her eyes. I never was. I just needed someone to believe it. The desert was silent. No threats. No storms. No running. Just peace. And that's when Rala knew it was real. She wasn't dreaming. She wasn't begging. She was free. Eli stood beside her at the edge of the canyon, holding her hand. Below them, the broken pieces of her old life lay buried. Shattered armor, a torn banner, and a clan that had finally walked away in defeat. Rala whispered, I never thought I'd live to see this day. Eli looked at her. What day? The day I no longer feared my own people. The day I stopped hiding my children. The day someone stood beside me and didn't let go. Back in the colony, everything had changed. The same people who once mocked Eli and Rala now lowered their heads when they passed. Some still whispered, but none dared speak out loud. Not after what Eli did. Not after Taran, Rila's powerful brother, was beaten and left behind by his own warriors. Not after Rila refused to return to her clan, choosing a human over her bloodline. She had broken every rule, and she was proud of it. The cabin was no longer just a shelter. It had become a home. There were hand-painted pictures on the walls, drawn by the children. The smell of food filled the rooms every evening. Laughter echoed off the metal walls. And for the first time in Eli's life, he looked forward to waking up. One morning, Rila stood at the table, helping her daughter shape soft dough. Eli walked in, wiping sweat from his face. You're always working, Rala said, smiling. He shrugged. You're always watching. She reached into a small wooden box and pulled out the copper ring he gave her many nights ago. She placed it on her finger, then held out her hand to him. Let's do it right this time, she said. No fear, no lies, just us. Eli blinked. You mean? Yes, she said. Marry me, not to protect me, not to hide me. Just because you want me. Eli took her hand. I already do. The wedding was small. Just them, the kids, and a few kind neighbors who dared to come. Rala wore a simple white cloth. Eli wore his old military coat. The girl carried wildflowers. The boy held the ring, and when Rala whispered, I do, the winds outside changed. They weren't cold anymore. They were warm. Soft. Later that night, Eli and Rala sat on the roof of their cabin, watching stars paint the sky. You know, Rala said, leaning against him, you're not the man they expected. Eli smiled. Who? The colony. The enforcers. Even my clan. They expected you to use me or throw me away. But instead, you became something else. She turned her head to look at him, the husband they never expected. Eli looked at her. Maybe I just needed the right reason to become him. As the stars shimmered above and the desert stretched endlessly in every direction, Rala reached for his hand, and for the first time in all her life, no chains, no fear, no hunger, she belonged.